Order the Monday, May 19th City Council meeting to order. The City Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Councillor Pepin.
Yep.
Vincent.
Yep.
Gibson.
Here.
Parity Catanzaro. Here. Michaud.
Yeah.
Witham.
Here.
Goodwin.
He is excused.
Cameron. Yeah. Barry.
Here.
And just for the record, Mayor Girding is absent tonight. He is not feeling well. So that brings us to agenda item number 2, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilor Barry will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That brings us to agenda item number 3, which is our recognition of Indigenous people, our Native Ancestral Americans. This meeting takes place on Endakina, which is the unceded traditional ancestral homeland of the Abenaki, Pennacook, and Wabanaki peoples, past and present. We acknowledge and honor with gratitude the land, waterways, living beings, and the Alnabek, the people who have stewarded Endakina throughout the generations. Brings us to agenda item number 4, which are public hearings this evening. There is one regarding ordinance number 2325, which is a supplemental appropriation to provide the grant match for the New Hampshire Land and Community Heritage Investment Program Historic Rehabilitation Grant for repairs to the Ferber Memorial Chapel. Would anybody like to comment on ordinance number 2325 this evening? Please. Good evening. Just make sure the mic is on the little green button. Thank you.
Check, check. Hi.
How are you?
Good evening. Neil Larson, Hamilton Street, Ward 1. I've been the chair of the cemetery trustees since about 2017, 2018. Here tonight in support of Ordinance 23-25. As many of you know, the Ferber Chapel is a treasured historic, it's a national and state registered historic location. One of the most unique spots in the city of Somersworth. Speaking on behalf of the need for repairs, restoration, you've probably seen a little bit of the information about it, but the whole north wall needs to be rebuilt. A lot of repointing work needs to be done. Moisture has been trapped inside. So this is work that is critical work. It was identified 6 or 7 years ago, validating some of the concerns we had. We engaged a group called Ground Root Preservation. They put together a very comprehensive assessment outlining everything that the Ferber Chapel needs. So those needs have been expressed. I'm thankful for the Finance Committee's decision back in March to approve this. I wanted to speak a little bit just about the source of the funding, the cable fund. I know that there was a little bit of hesitation on that. The cable fund has been used in the past for non-communication purposes. Some legal advice was sought some years ago. It is acceptable to use this as a supplemental fund for this type of necessary critical work. So I just also worth pointing out that it is a fund that's replenished on a monthly basis as well. So that's it. Really would like to see this move through. If it does not pass, then we risk losing the grant entirely, since the match is a contingent point of the grant. And at the very best, we would delay the process. And anybody who's seen, who knows intimately some of the work that needs to be done, that's time that we can't afford. So thank you for supporting the Ferber Chapel. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the comments. Any further comment on ordinance number 2325 regarding the Ferber Chapel? Please.
Hi, Allison Visser, Ward 1, also a cemetery trustee, and I just wanted to voice my support for the funding and the matching of the grant for the Ferber Chapel. I missed part of what Neil said, but I'm sure he went over all of the details. And
He did.
But yeah, I think it's really important to make these repairs, and I hope that it goes through. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any further comment on ordinance number 2325 this evening? Seeing none, that brings us to agenda item number 5, which is comments by visitors. Certainly, the Somersworth City Council welcomes any comments by visitors. We do ask you to keep your remarks to 5 minutes and not to enter into any debate with any city official here tonight.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
don't you have to close the hearing?
public hearing is closed. Anybody have any public comment this evening? Please. Yes.
Just want to do things right.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Kim Faustino, and I'm here with a request regarding the William Pond Trail. I do have some property in Somersworth. My house is in Dover, but my yard is also in Somersworth.
Could you just state your address for the record?
7 Lakeview Drive, Dover,
Okay, thank
but
you.
I pay Somersworth taxes.
Sure.
The William Pond Trail, I'm sure everybody's familiar with it, goes from the liquor store parking lot behind on High Street to the boat launch parking lot on 108. It's a beautiful, lovely rec trail. And up until this year, it has been stroller-friendly, wheelchair accessible. It's been a beautiful trail. But there is a section of the trail that's been washed away by rain. And I have pictures of that area that I could email to someone or show someone where it is. But if somebody could come out and just put some more sand back there, like when the footbridges were repaired, there were big holes that were left, and then the city came in and fixed it all up, which was really great. So it's something similar to that. So I would like to put that request in, and I'm not really sure how to proceed with that.
I think you just did, so thank you for that. I think certainly the city manager, I see him making a note. Probably
Okay.
have our public works team look at that as soon as they can.
Okay, so do I need to, I can show somebody exactly where it is if you want my contact info, or do I just email you with my information, or Nancy has my contact info?
Nancy has it. We can make sure the public works director gets in touch with you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. Are there any further comments by visitors this evening? Yes, please.
Richard Brooks, Ward 1, 18 Linden Street. Also HDC Chair, and also a member of the HDC Advisory Committee, which I just want to speak to the Ordinance 2525, a zoning amendment to Section 14 regarding exempt activities in the Historic District. This seems to be possibly a significant change, or certainly substantial change. And as HDC chairman, I just didn't know anything about this until tonight, so it's a little bit of a surprise. I just have read it for the first time. Just curious if the HDC will get an opportunity to review that and weigh in on it as well. Also being a member of the recently formed HDC Advisory Committee, which we know this came from 85 Elm and the controversy surrounding that project. We've had discussions of changes as well. At the same time, I think that's moved slowly, partly because of budget process. We kind of took a break through that. Everybody's busy at that time. We've definitely come up with some goals, some ideas, but been slow to move forward because we find that while the HDC members are routinely there, the council members are not always there every time. So not laying any blame, it makes it hard to progress. And I just don't want to see us haphazardly make different recommendations or changes to stuff when this advisory committee was tasked with doing that as well. I'd just like to see everybody be involved and discuss all relevant parties involved, basically. So just kind of throwing that out there. Like I said, it was just a surprise to me. Maybe I'll get a chance to see it. I just wanted to throw some stuff out there. I don't have a very prepared speech. I'm not good at speaking off the cuff sometimes. So here I am just throwing those concerns out there. Yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that, but thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your comment. Any further public comment this evening? Seeing none, that brings us to our next agenda item, which... Oh.
Hi, everybody. Jason Barry, Ward 4, 211 Green Street. I'm a member of the Don't Trash Somersworth team, co-founder with Councilor Cameron. Wanted to speak with you guys a little bit about Don't Trash, the work that we do, the work that we continue to do, and we need help. So we've been at it for a little over a year now, and in that time, we've been very productive. I mean, we've collected, what would you say, Nancy, about 200 bags, give or take. It's been a very good run. We've had a very good team of very dedicated people coming out to help us out. But in all honesty, we are struggling. Just this past weekend, we did Willen Pond Drive. We collected about 17 bags of trash, and that was probably a quarter, roughly, of what was out there. Several encampments, one very large. And guys, we found the mother load of needles. Very, very dangerous stuff. Most of it was in the encampment. However, there was several that were along the roadside. Areas that you walk, that your kids play, you know, way too close, right? Every month I get frustrated, you know, because Don't Trash is a reactionary force, right? And it hurts me to see the trash that's all over the street. And there's only so much that we can do in order to stay in front of this. And it's getting worse. It's constantly getting worse. I don't know if it's because people aren't trained to look down, but people do look down, right? You know, before Don't Trash started, so the whole dream started when my wife, Laura Barry, and I took a trip to Scotland, of all places, you know, in a country far, far away. We drove about 1,000 miles around that country, and it's a beautiful country. But one thing that we noticed once we got out of Edinburgh is there was no trash, literally anywhere, 1,000 miles. And I think, at least to me, it could probably fit in the palm of your hands. Think about that. I come home, I go into my front yard, I had 5 or 6 pieces in my yard, right? And I'm on Don't Trash, right? So it's difficult to fight the fight. Naturally, this is a call to arms. We need the public support. It's cultural. And the one thing that I envy about the Scottish is that for them, they take pride in their towns, they take pride in their country. It's a beautiful country. And they care about not only their neighborhood, but they care about their city and their country, right? So we need to take care of our town, right? Our homes, our neighborhoods, our city. It's how we're perceived. A lot of people drive through the city, right? And to be frank, I don't want to be known as the dirty town. And honestly, any help that we can get, both from the council, right? I know you guys can probably help us some way through education of the public. You know, it's not my problem conversation. It's too dirty. Let somebody else do it. Let the city take care of it. Let Don't Trash take care of it. Look, we're going to be there. Don't Trash, we will be there. But remember, we only get together once a month for 1 hour. Okay? So any help that you guys can provide, because you're leaders of your own wards, right? Empower your people. Most importantly, find people to join us, right? We are always taking volunteers, anybody that can come. So just to put a bug in your ear, if you want to talk to us about trash pickup, I know Councilor Cameron and myself will be more than happy to talk with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further comment by visitors this evening? I'm pausing. Are we sure? Seeing none, that'll bring us to our next agenda item, which is the consent calendar. The chair will entertain a motion regarding the consent calendar. Councilor Pepin.
I make a motion we accept it as presented.
Councilor Pepin moves the consent calendar be approved as presented. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Parity Catanzaro. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the consent calendar, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Brings us to agenda item number 7, which is comments by city councilors. Any comments by councilors this evening? Councilor Vincent.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to talk in support of Ordinance 2325. I'm on the committee that actually, both committees that talked about it. Done a lot of work at that chapel as a contractor, and at one point I think the chapel was valued at over $1 million. So I definitely think that it's worth it to go ahead and move forward to support that ordinance. It's got a lot of history to it, and it's an absolute beautiful building. It really is. I also want to talk a little bit about, while I was here listening to some of the comments, I received an email from one of the counselors from Dover, and I'm just gonna touch on it real quick, and then move it to the city manager to maybe move to a committee. And they're wondering why that we haven't enacted an ordinance for our panhandling. And it's a little bit of an email here. It's not much, but I thought at one point we had talked about that we probably couldn't do something for panhandling. But I think the way I read this email, they did. And it's curbed their panhandling down. You know, he goes into the email and says about how it's not pleasant to the people that visit our city view-wise. So I'm going to look into that a little bit further. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any further comments by councilors here this evening? Councilor Barry.
I have one, just so I don't forget about it later after our long agenda. We have somebody who opened up 2 doors down from City Hall, Bonfire Coffee. I just want to give a shout out that unfortunately they had to open in torrential downpour, rain, weather, and it's a perfect time to go get hot coffee right before a meeting, so you're quite awake. I just wanted to give a shout out to support our local, and hopefully everybody goes and sees them because they do stay open for our meetings, which I'm excited about completely. So there's my plug today.
Thank you. Councilor Pepin.
Just to follow up on Councilman Vincent's comment about the panhandlers, I approached the city manager about it a while back. He contacted the city manager of Dover. They sent us a letter, and our police department has it. If you notice, they haven't been there for the past 2 or 3 weeks anyways. The police department has been handling it for the past period a couple of weeks ago, and they've been taking care of it, and they know the law, and basically they can't do it on the roadside, but they can do it on the sidewalks if they're on the sidewalk because there's a public path. But on the highways, they can't do it on it. So like in the middle lanes and stuff, they're not allowed to panhandle in the middle turning lanes or anything like that. So it has been looked into, and it has been acted upon.
Further comments by councilors. Councilor Michoud.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to make a comment on Mr. Berry. Thank everybody that was involved with No Trash Somersworth. And I like to see more people come out and help him. But here's one idea that I think we should challenge everybody in this community. How about policing your own personal property? Clean up your own neighborhoods. This way here, keep trash down, neighborhoods look better. At least it's a good start. Stop policing your own properties. Thank you.
Further comments by councilors. Being a councilor, I can comment here. I jump on your coattails, Councilor Michoud. I agree with you 100%. It starts sort of where you live, and it goes out from there. I applaud the work that the Don't Trash Somersworth group has done, but it's more than you can do. I would not disagree that people need to take personal responsibility. And it's not only trash, it's upkeep of properties. I lament periodically here about the way people take care of their properties or lack thereof. I know we have code compliance. I think we take a soft glove approach there, maybe more than we should. I'll just use 362 High Street as an example. I grew up at 362 High Street. My mom had beautiful window boxes. There was never any trash. The yard was swept. The lawn was mowed. The property was maintained rather meticulously. My mom sold that house over 10 years ago now, and the people that own it, I don't know if it's on second owner or third owner, but they don't care about the property. It's an absolute disaster. I know that our code officials will go with nice white gloves and give them a courtesy notice again, even though they get a courtesy notice every year. That is a facility that is timed for fines and penalties. There's a time to take out the hammer, and there's a time for white gloves. But our code officials don't seem to get that. We tap dance way too much. So, sorry it spurred that comment, but that's the truth. We need to be far more aggressive in our approach here. So, I'll leave it at that for tonight. Further comments by councilors? Second time, Councilor Michoud. There's no rule against that.
Thank you. Commenting, piggybacking on what you said, maybe it's time that we review that city ordinance and put more teeth into it instead of these little courtesy calls that comes up every 30 days that they have the time to repair. It seems like since I've been on council, once a month we get all the department heads give out a report, and I always look at the problem properties in the community. And it always seems that certain ones in this community, over and over and over, keeps popping up. They get clean, they fall back again, they get that courtesy, please clean it up. This is what I'm talking about. Maybe it's time that we stop putting teeth into this, that if it's a repeat property, stop sending out these courtesies, one-time fix, and actually come out and say, okay, we're done with you. It's time to start cleaning up and stop putting teeth and stop finding them right at the beginning instead of waiting 3 times and 3 strikes you're out.
Although the mayor's not here, I'm sure he's watching, and you can wait for that to be referred to a committee near you soon. So
I'm sure it'll be coming my way.
I was thinking of yours, but there you go. So further comments by city councilors this evening? Seeing none, that'll bring us to communications. And first on our agenda this evening is a presentation of our financial statements for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024 by our accounting firm Plodzik and Sanderson. So I believe we have a guest here this evening. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Ryan Gibbons, Audit Manager, Plodzik and Sanderson, here to present your fiscal year 24 audit. First off, I'd like to thank the finance team, Katie, Scott, and all the department heads here at the city. Everybody is very transparent, easy to get a hold of. And out of our 230-odd clients, probably one of the best, well-prepared clients we have. So thank you for that. So if you have a report in front of you, I will start with what the purpose of the audit is. What is the purpose of the audit? We are here to render an opinion on your financial statements, whether they're material, fairly stated in all material respects. There's good opinions and there's not so good opinions. In the case of the city of Somersworth, I can gladly say that you have an unmodified opinion, and each one of your opinion units are fairly stated in all material respects. An opinion unit being the different funds and whether it be the governmental activities, the business type activities such as the water or sewer funds, or each major governmental fund. If you could turn to page 13, this is where your basic financial statements start. Actually, sorry about that. Page 12. So here we have Exhibit A and B. These are your...
Could I ask you just to pause while we get the copy of the report?
Oh, yeah,
So,
no problem.
Seems like you got everything here tonight at like 2 minutes before 7, so apologies. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And what page were we on again?
So on page 12 is where I'll start. These are your basic...
I'm going to have you hold. Apparently, I am not the only one that did not get the memo that this was happening. I believe the fire drill is over. You may continue. So.
Thank you. All right, so anyway, to begin with your audit report, yeah, the first thing is your basic financial statements. These would be your, balance sheet, profit and loss statements. Exhibit A on page 12 represents your government-wide financial statements. This is the city as a whole. It's broken down by the governmental activities and the business type activities. The governmental activities represent your general fund and all other major funds and non-major funds. And the business type activities represent your water, sewer, solid waste, and so forth. Exhibit B would be your income statement at that level. And on these two financial statements here, you're looking at the full accrual basis of accounting, similar to a business. Which includes your capital assets and long-term liabilities and the like. Moving forward to page 14, this is your governmental funds balance sheet. So this is on a different basis of accounting, referred to as the modified accrual basis of accounting. It's a little different than a full accrual basis. You do not have assets, long-term liabilities. This is a current measurement focus. So it's a little more detailed than the Exhibit A and B. Here you have the general fund, which is your major fund. You also have two other major funds, this being the school grants and the city capital projects fund. The fourth column there you'll see is the other governmental funds, and that comprises of all the other special revenue funds that didn't meet the classification of major fund. Exhibit C2, which is on the next page, breaks down the differences between the balance sheet accounts, between the Exhibit C1 modified accrual basis to the full accrual governmental activities. The following page, C3, is your governmental funds income statement. So that shows your revenues and expenditures for the year and change in fund balances. And C4, the next page, that shows the differences between the income statement of the full accrual basis to modified accrual. Now, Exhibit D is probably the most important one. This would be your general fund budget to actual. This is on the budgetary basis, so now we're on to the third basis of accounting within this report. This is what you use to formulate your budget and all that. So at the bottom, your beginning unassigned fund balance at July 1st, 2023 was $9.6 million, and you had a net income of about $655,000 for a ending unassigned fund balance of $10.3 million. And I would say that's a very healthy fund balance to have, and most appropriate for the size of the city. The following pages are the proprietary funds, in other words, the business type activities. This shows them in more detail. These are on the full accrual basis already, so you have your balance sheet, income statement, and then you have a cash flow statement. Exhibit F1 and F2 are your fiduciary funds. These are funds that the city holds that it's not your funds. Examples of which would be the private purpose trust funds. So the trustees of the trust funds hold those for things such as scholarships and the like. Moving on to pages 24 through 61, those are your notes to the financial statements. They break down all the balances that you'll see on the basic financial statements in a little more detail. I won't go into those into great detail. Instead, I'll have you skip over to page page 62. And these are what are referred to as supplementary schedules. We add these into our financial reports to show more detail. In this case, this is the general fund on the non-GAAP budgetary basis. So you have your estimated revenue appropriations and your actuals. On Schedule 2, you have your expenditures and appropriations, in which case you underspent appropriations by about $670,000. And Schedule 3 is a reconciliation of your unassigned fund balance. So again, you started at 9.6 million on the budgetary basis and ended with about 10.3 million approximately. This also shows the differences at the bottom between the non-GAAP budgetary basis to your GAAP basis financial statements. Those are the exhibits C1 and C3. Further along are more supplementary schedules. So on the basic financial statements, how we show that fourth column of the other non-major funds, this is what comprises that. It's all your other special revenue funds that don't meet that classification. At the end of the report, you have a separate report, that's called a single audit report. This is required by all governmental entities who expend more than $750,000 in a year of federal awards. So we have to do a separate compliance audit for that. I'm happy to say you had no compliance issues there. No material weaknesses or significant deficiencies, which are would be serious infractions. And then on the last couple pages, you just have a breakdown of all your grants and awards expended during the year. And with that, that's it.
Any questions from councilors? I don't see any here this evening. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your patience as
Thank
we
you.
gathered our...
Yeah, no problem. Take care.
That brings us to communication item B, which is a letter of resignation from Carl Strickland as a Ward 5 selectman. City Clerk, if you could read the letter, please.
May 8th, 2025. To whom it may concern, I am writing to inform the city of my resignation from my position as selectman of Ward 5 effective immediately. I will be moving and can no longer fulfill the requirements. It has been a pleasure. Carl Strickland.
Thank you. Brings us to agenda item number 10, which is the mayor's report. Obviously, the mayor isn't here this evening, but he does have a proclamation that I would like to read declaring May 18th through 24th as EMS week here in the city of Somersworth. And we do have two representatives from Stewart's Ambulance that, after I do read the proclamation, I'll invite you up to receive it from me. It's a proclamation declaring May 18th through 24th as EMS week here in the city of Somersworth. Whereas EMS Week celebrates EMS, emergency medical services providers, and the vital role they serve in our community. And whereas the members of Stewart's Ambulance are known for providing top quality care and are dedicated professionals to the Hilltop community. And whereas Somersworth is grateful to have members of Stewart's Ambulance as part of the city's public safety team. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. Now, therefore, Matt Girding, Mayor of the City of Somersworth, New Hampshire, on behalf of the Somersworth City Council, hereby proclaims May 18th through 24th as EMS Week here in the City of Somersworth, and thank members of Stewart's Ambulance for their dedication to the safety of all Hilltopper residents. Proclamation is signed by the mayor. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you. For the mayor.
would like to just say one thing.
You may say a lot of things if you want.
Now, I just want to mention one thing to the councilors, Mr. Manager. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for this proclamation from the mayor also. And I just want to say it is wonderful to work in this city. The two guys behind me back there, the Chief Sunderland and Chief Moore, they make our job a little easier. It's not easy during the day or even at night when, something bad strikes a family. But it's nice to know that we have the backs of the police and the fire department working with us in unison. So consider yourselves very lucky. I've worked in communities across Massachusetts, and this by far is one of the best communities I've ever worked in, working with the police and fire. So once again, thank you very, very much.
I guess. You go here. There you go. You can see we don't do this often.
Yeah, right.
We don't have reports often either. So it's like a fire drill.
Right.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are they smiling?
Hope so.
Camera didn't break it.
Photoshopping. And that'll conclude the mayor's report this evening. That'll bring us to reports of standing committees, and I'll start with the minutes of the Finance Committee, which was held back on May 6th at 5 p.m. here at City Hall. First item on our agenda was repairs to the Fire Department Truck 1, that's the aerial ladder. Fire Chief Moore was in attendance. It was explained to us that the Fire Department aerial, during, routine truck check, it was discovered to have a hydraulic leak. Upon further investigation, it needs significant repairs to the hydraulic mechanisms that lift and rotate the aerial appliance. The cost for the one of the options, which is to use new parts, not refurb parts, is $81,143.52. Both the Public Safety Committee that had met prior and the Finance Committee support repair with the new parts. Although Truck 1 is sort of on the CIP for replacement in the coming years, it's likely that even if we ordered one today, delivery is some 3 to 4 years out. It takes that long to get them, and we haven't even begun to think about appropriations for that. So in lieu of that, the new parts made the most sense. So the committee unanimously supports moving forward with an amount not to exceed $85,000, so we put some contingency in there to repair Truck 1, and that would be done through the dealer for the particular type of apparatus, which is New England Fire Apparatus of North Haven, Connecticut. Part of the cost is for a representative from that agency to come to Somersworth to get the truck and to bring it to New Haven and then return the truck afterwards, so we don't have to spend overtime money for staff to do that. That is unanimously endorsed by the Finance Committee. We talked about a number of bids, catch basin cleaning, reflectorized pavement lines, so the linear lines, yellow and such, around the city, and then other pavement markings, stop bars, crosswalks, things of that nature. We support moving forward with Wind River Environmental for the catch basin cleaning at $65 per basin. Will be a total amount of $18,750. And then reflectorized pavement lines awarded to K5 Corporation, an amount of $34,594. We did have a lower bid for the other pavement markings, the stop bars and crosswalks. That was submitted by Spots on Lots, but K5 can do the work much faster within a couple of weeks' time versus an entire summer. That bid for that was $33,435. Spots on Lots bid was $30,683. But the Finance Committee desires to use K5 just because of the speed at which they will get this done. It doesn't seem to make much sense to be finished pavement lines just before snow flies when they get worn out over the winter time. So we support awarding that bid to K5, and again, the amount of $33,435. The pedestrian light and crosswalk at Constitutional Way and High Street. I know council has supported installing the rectangular rapid flash beacons and signs at that intersection. We originally moved forward with a ordinance and resolution to award that work to N. Grenice and Sons. However, that work has not started, and we have now found out that SUR is interested in doing that work. N. Grenice quote, the formal quote that we received was over $80,000 for that work, where SUR Construction is proposing to do the work for $69,000. So we support actually awarding the contract to SUR, and there are a number of pieces of legislation to make that happen, and they can actually probably get it done as fast. So we support moving forward with that. Of $69,000 and an additional $3,000 in contingencies. So the maximum project award would be no more than $72,000. And again, it does require some other action to rescind the award of work to N. Grenice and Sons. We had a discussion on personnel plan compensation schedule, COLA, for the water and wastewater unions. They have in their contract what is known as a Me Too clause. So they basically get whatever is awarded to our non-union staff here in the city. They get it too, hence the Me Too clause. So we support moving forward with that with a COLA increase of 3% for them, and that was unanimously endorsed. And I guess that'll conclude. We had a number of miscellaneous conversational items, but nothing of substance, and we adjourned at 5:30 p.m. Bring us to public safety. Councilor Pepin, is there any report this
Have
evening?
nothing to report this evening.
Very good. Government operations, Councilor Michoud.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have not met, but we'll be meeting this coming Wednesday on the 21st at 5 p.m. in City Hall.
Very good, thank you. Recreation, Councilor Cameron. No report, Your Honor. Economic Development, Councilor Goodwin. Who is the vice chair of that committee? Is there a report, Councilor Michoud?
No report this evening, Your Honor.
Report. And there is no report of Public Works and the Environment. We have not met. Brings us to reports of special committees. Any reports of special committees here this evening? Councilor Berry.
I probably should have brought this up last time, but I figure I should do it this time. The HDC met last month. Just to kind of give you an update, there were 2 approved items, one tabled. The one tabled item was 67 Elm Street for a parking lot and a retaining wall. There was some conversation around material use and others, so that has been tabled. And I will also talk about the HDC Specialty Committee by the mayor. We did meet, and we came up with 4 goals for that committee. One is autopsies for the city itself, to kind of perform autopsies around specific construction or projects that we foresee, what went good, what went bad. Just, it's a good habit that we've kind of come across in others, and to maybe implement that and to come up with ways of understanding, like, when should we enact an autopsy to be done for good, bad, learning, you know, things of that sort. We also talked about long-term goal being zoning, to look at that, since we're already going through some zoning with other outside parties, to have them look at that in regard to how that affects the HDC and other areas to that effect. We also talked about HDC, specifically ordinance updates, redoing that. It's been, I think, 4 or 5 years since we went through the last round, and we're having a camp with the state that will also help educate on some of that level. And then the last one was also looking into having a survey done of the district. And what the thought process is there is having the district evaluated as a whole for how it currently stands, how it affects, you know, where, and it gives a lot of information to council, if not only just our HDC.
Thank you for that report. Any further reports of special committees? Seeing none, City Manager.
My apologies.
No.
Yeah. Countdowns begin. It's third to the last meeting. In any event. Where was I? Turning on my microphone, I guess. Okay. Under old business, Resolution 5525, to authorize the manager to execute amendments to the agreements with Blackwater Road Solar, which is an affiliate of Amoresco, to develop a solar project on our closed sanitary landfill Superfund site. I did provide you a red line copy if one of the councils would be so inclined to introduce an amendment that would remove the power purchase agreement language that's been worked on by staff and myself, as well as our attorney. And if you adopt the amendments, you could then move forward to approve the ground lease only. What occurred was, originally with the PPA, we thought the city's load would take care of 100% of what was being sold off to the grid. Well, it turns out, after they crunched more numbers, they were proposing 93. Now they're talking about 85 to 90. And they were going to use another community for that extra 10 or 15%, as well as if they got an expansion of the solar array on the rest of the Superfund site, they were going to use another community. So they were already moving forward on what they thought was their plan. Scott and I put a hold on it because we thought if the city did expand the solar array, that would be an ideal time where we could pull in the school department, the SAU, and perhaps generate some credit, which would actually be in the form of revenue, not only to the city, but if they get involved in regards to the power purchase agreement, they could receive some revenue. So we're scheduling, reached out to the superintendent's office, and we'll be scheduling a conference call with Amoresco and the school department and Scott and myself to further explore this possibility. So that's what we're recommending. I'm recommending that we just move forward with the lease amendment and hold off on the PPA, and at a later time we'll be coming back to you on what, if anything, we can fold into the school's use of any electrical load that can be sold to the grid, if that makes any sense. If not, I'll try to answer any questions. And under new business, the first ordinance is in regards to the emergency repairs for Fire Truck 1, and I think the Finance Committee already reported out in regards to the recommendation of Finance and Public Safety to move forward with that. In regards to Ordinance 2525 to amend Chapter 19th zoning ordinance regarding the historic district by adding exempt activities. I do recommend a public hearing to be held at some time. If it's prepared to go to a public hearing, that could be at the next regular council meeting on June 2nd. City attorney did review the proposed language. She noticed, she indicated she didn't see a map. We forgot to attach the map, but Michelle confirmed, our Director of Planning and Community Development confirmed that we're all set in regards to our ordinance, providing a map and boundaries and so forth. Our city attorney did ask that we identify what is meant by new construction. Director Mears offered this as a potential amendment to define that as infill, quote unquote, infill development is the new construction of buildings or other facilities on previously unused or underutilized land located within a downtown urban core. So again, infill development is the new construction of buildings or other facilities on previously unused or underutilized land located within a downtown urban core. You haven't received this in writing. I think I did send it out by email, but you might not have caught up with it. Perhaps we defer the public hearing, get a written document so you can ponder it before the next meeting, and move the public hearing to the second meeting of June if you're prepared to move forward with this amendment or any other further amendments. In regards to resolution, the first one, 5625, to authorize the manager to contract with New England Fire Equipment and Apparatus Corporation to make emergency repairs to Truck 1. I did provide you a copy of Chief Moore's memorandum as well as the actual repair quotes in your packet. The next resolution, 5725, again, spoken and reported out by Finance Chair Witham. It's a vote to rescind the amendment to the Grenese contract, who we were potentially moving forward with for the pedestrian light. Again, you heard the report out from the Finance Committee Chair, so I won't repeat all of that, but we would like to move forward with SUR construction. I provided the actual quote from SUR, and we should be prepared to move forward with that with the council's blessing. In regards to informational items, I did just want to mention that I've authorized our fire chief and emergency management director, Chief Moore, to apply for a hazardous mitigation grant. I provide you a copy of application. If we're awarded the grant, council will need to take action to accept the grant's funding at a later time. That concludes my report, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Belmore. That brings us to our next agenda item 13, which is nominations, appointments, and elections. The only one on our agenda this evening is Donna Donovan for reappointment as Ward 5 Supervisor of the Checklist for a term of 5 years. What is the wish of the council? Councilor Vincent.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to so move Donna Donovan.
Councilor Vincent moves to endorse the appointment of Donna Donovan as Ward 5 Supervisor of the Checklist, seconded by Councilor Michoud. Any discussion? Seeing none, if you're in favor of the appointment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Donna Donovan is hereby appointed. Thank you. Brings us to agenda item number 14, which is items that are laid on the table. We have ordinance number 1925, which is available for action if removed from the table. Is there a motion to remove from the table? Seeing none, ordinance 1925 will remain on the table. Brings us to agenda item number 15, which is unfinished business. First item is ordinance number 2325. We'll have a reading of the ordinance by title only. Second reading. City Clerk.
Ordinance number 2325, supplemental appropriation to provide the grant match for a New Hampshire Land and Community Heritage Investment Program Historic Rehabilitation Grant for repairs to the Ferber Memorial Chapel.
Ordinance number 2325, having been read a first and second time and been availed to a public hearing, is before the council for any further amendment. No amendment being offered, the chair will entertain a motion on the ordinance. Councilor Vincent.
I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with ordinance 2325.
Councilor Vincent moves for the adoption of ordinance number 2325, seconded by Councilor Parity Catanzaro. Discussion. Councilor Vincent.
Yes, like I said before, this is definitely one of the oldest, I think, buildings. Maybe not the oldest building, but really, it's got some time behind it. And if you haven't seen it, you really should go over and check it out. It's really impressive. And on top of it, we've put in a lot of money, or the cemetery, us, I guess, as being the cemetery, has put in a lot of money towards this. You know, a few years back, we replaced the slate roof on it. And I know they've always done maintenance, and so I'm looking forward for all councilors to be in support of this ordinance. Thank you.
Further discussion. Councilor Gibson.
I will vote in favor of it because I believe in the historical significance and value of the building. But I will once more bring up that I dislike the use of the cable funds to pay for this, because the intent at the time that fund was established was to provide for enhancement of electronic and other communication needs in the city by that. I know that it's been checked and vetted as being legal, but that was not the intent at the time.
Further discussion. Councilor Berry.
I'm also in support of this. I wanted to talk about that the cemetery is on the National Register. This is a very key component of that National Register. I also look at it as we don't know where the future is going to be with grants. And one thing that is very common with older buildings, the longer you let something go wrong, the more expensive it becomes instead of taking action when you see it. So my worry would be if we let it go and we lose the funding, then we're going to have a more significant problem on our hands. So I'm definitely in favor of this. And also, I know that we have concerts at this chapel. We have quite a community input to this chapel, and I would love to see that continue. So I just think we need to do this for that.
Thank you. Further discussion. I, too, will be supporting this. I did not support it at the Finance Committee. We were in the throes of the budget then, and there was a lot of uncertainty. We're over that hurdle now, and the use of the cable fund has no impact on the tax rate, so that makes me feel better. Councilor Gibson, there may have been intent behind what the cable fund was to be used for back in the day, but all I can say is that was never codified. So if a councilor would like to put some intent behind it, can certainly introduce legislation to do so. Further discussion. Seeing none, City Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Counselor Peppin.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Gibson.
Yes.
Parity Catanzaro.
Yes.
Micho.
Yes.
Witham.
Yes,
Cameron. Yes. Barry.
Yes.
and the ordinance is adopted. That brings us to unfinished business resolutions. Resolution 5325. Listen to the resolution by title only for its second reading.
Resolution number 5325, to authorize the city manager to enter into a grant agreement with the New Hampshire Land and Community Heritage Investment Program Historic Rehabilitation Grant.
Resolution 5325, having been read a first and second time, is before council for any amendment. No amendment being offered, the chair will entertain a motion on the resolution. Councilor Pepin?
Move for its adoption.
Councilor Pepin moves for the adoption of Resolution 5325, seconded by Councilor Vincent. Any discussion? Seeing none, City Clerk, if you'd please call the roll.
Counselor Pepin.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Gibson.
Yes.
Parity Catanzaro.
Yes.
Micho.
Yes.
Witham.
Yes.
Cameron. Barry.
Yes.
Resolution 5325 is adopted. Brings us to Resolution 5425 for a second reading. City Clerk, if you would read by title only.
Resolution number 5425, to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Townsend Energy of Somersworth, New Hampshire, to install and supply fuel for an above-ground diesel tank at the Public Works facility, and enter into a contract with Civil Works New England for site layout and NHDES permit application.
Resolution 5425, having been read a first and second time, is before council for any amendment. No amendment being offered, the chair will entertain a motion on the resolution. Councilor Vincent.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to move Resolution 5425. Move it forward. Thank you.
Councilor Vincent moves for the adoption of Resolution 5425, seconded by Councilor Cameron. Discussion. Seeing none, City Clerk, if you'd call the roll. Oh,
5425?
correct. Townsend Energy, diesel.
Sorry.
You're sure? Okay.
It's new.
City Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Counselor Witham.
I think yes.
Cameron. Yes. Barry.
Yes.
Pepin.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Gibson.
Yes.
Parity Catanzaro.
Yes.
Micho.
Yes.
There is a ploy working against me here in these chambers tonight. There's something going on. Goodness gracious. Brings us to Resolution 5525 for a second reading by title only. City Clerk.
Resolution number 5525, to authorize the city manager to execute amendments to the agreements with Blackwater Road Solar LLC, an affiliate of Amoresco, Inc. of Framingham, Massachusetts, to develop a solar project pursuant to RSA 362-A on the closed Somersworth Sanitary Landfill Superfund site on Blackwater Road.
Resolution 5525, having been read a first and second time, is before council for any amendment. Councilor Parity Catanzaro.
Trying to pull up the exact amendment here. Would it be, instead of going through these line by line, can I say I would amend it to match the red line version in the city
Right,
manager's
which
report?
speaks to the ground lease. I think that would be sufficient because we all got a copy of that and reported out by the city manager. So to amend according to the red line version provided by the city manager's office, that speaks to the ground lease portion of this agreement. Is there a second on that amendment? Seconded by Councilor Vincent. Discussion. Seeing none, if you're in favor of the amendment, you'll signify by saying aye. If you are opposed, you'll signify by saying no. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The amendment is adopted. That now brings before us Resolution 5525 as amended. Is there a motion to adopt as amended? Councilor Parity Catanzaro moves to adopt Resolution 5525 as amended, seconded by Councilor Pepin. Any discussion? Seeing none, City Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Counselor Witham.
Yes.
Cameron. Yes. Barry.
Yes.
Pepin.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Gibson.
Yes.
Parity Catanzaro.
Yes.
Micho.
Yes.
Resolution 5525 is adopted. That brings us to agenda item 16, which is new business this evening. We have two ordinances. The first ordinance is ordinance number 2425. City Clerk, if you'd please read the ordinance.
Ordinance number 2425, supplemental appropriation for emergency repairs for Fire Department Truck 1, May 19, 2025. The City of Somersworth ordains that pursuant to Section 7.7A of the City Charter, the annual budget for the City of Somersworth for fiscal year 2024-2025 is amended as follows. Appropriate $85,000 from the unassigned fund balance to the firefighting budget as follows. Budget, $2,360,275. Amendment, $85,000. Revised budget, $2,445,275. Approved as to funding, Scott A. Smith, Director of Finance and Administration. Recorded by Kristen LePan, City Clerk. Background. This ordinance appropriates funding to make emergency repairs to Fire Truck 1, which is currently out of service due to significant hydraulic leaks in the aerial apparatus. The city has made arrangements with our mutual aid partners to ensure coverage while Fire Truck 1 is out of service. This ordinance requires a public hearing and requires a 2/3 majority vote of the City Council after the public hearing, subject to Section 7.4.1 and Section 7.7A of the City Charter. Sponsored by Councilors David A. Witham, Martin Pepin, Kenneth S. Vincent, Laura Berry, Crystal Parity Catanzaro, approved City Attorney.
Ordinance number 2425 will remain in first reading until our next meeting, at which time we will hold a public hearing. Brings us to ordinance number 2525. City Clerk.
Point of order.
Yes.
I wonder if it'd be appropriate to hold it at this level or after the first reading for the staff adjustment to language and potential HGC review?
Correct. I was going to have it go to first reading and then just not schedule the public hearing at the next meeting. So
Okay,
if
great.
that works for you. Thank you. It's a great point. City Clerk.
Ordinance number 2525, to amend Chapter 19, Zoning Ordinance, Section 14, Historic District by adding exempt activities. May 19, 2025. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Somersworth that the ordinances of the City of Somersworth as amended be further amended as follows. Amend Chapter 19, Zoning Ordinance, Section 19.14.C.3, District Boundaries by deleting it in its entirety and replacing with the following. The location and boundaries of both the Hilltop Historic District and the Industrial and Commercial Historic District are hereby established as outlined in Sections 19.3.D.6 and 19.3.D.7 of this chapter, as shown on a map entitled City of Somersworth, New Hampshire Historic Districts, date April 25, 2003, and as amended, which is hereby declared to be part of this ordinance. Amend Chapter 19 Zoning Ordinance, Section 19.14.D.1, Activities, requiring review by striking construct and replacing it with alter. Amend Chapter 19 Zoning Ordinance, Section 19.14.D.1, Activities, requiring review by adding the following. It shall be unlawful for any person to construct any new building or structure which lies within the Hilltop Historic District overlay without first obtaining a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic District Commission, HDC, or in the case of a project of minimal impact, the planner, code officer, and the HDC chair in the manner prescribed in this section. Amend Chapter 19 Zoning Ordinance by adding the following. Section 19.14.D.2.F Exempt Activities. The construction of any new building or structures that lie within the Commercial Industrial Historic District overlay. Before the Planning Board undertakes an infill development application, the applicant shall make that application on forms provided in the Somersworth Department of Development Services to the Historic District Commission for review and comment. The Planning Board shall review and make part of the record any comments or recommendations from the Historic District Commission with regards to the request for infill development. The Historic District Commission shall have 35 days after the HDC accepts the application as complete to make comments or recommendations to the Planning Board. Comments or recommendations from the HDC shall require a majority vote. If no majority can be reached, the application will move forward to the Planning Board after the allotted 35-day period. This ordinance shall take effect upon passage. Sponsored by Mayor Matt Girding, Councilor David A. Witham, approved City Attorney.
Ordinance number 2525 will remain in first reading until such time as the mayor decides to schedule a public hearing. Brings us to resolutions. Resolution 5625. City Clerk.
Resolution number 5625, to authorize the city manager to contract with New England Fire Equipment and Apparatus Corporation of North Haven, Connecticut to make emergency repairs to Fire Department Truck 1. May 19, 2025. Whereas during a routine inspection of Fire Department's Truck 1, which is a 2006 Smeel aerial apparatus, a significant leak of hydraulic fluid in addition to other deficiencies was discovered in the aerial, which forced the city to place the truck out of service. And whereas this apparatus is a vital piece of equipment necessary to proper operations of the Fire Rescue Department. And whereas replacing this piece of apparatus will be a multi-year process, thereby creating the need of making the required repairs as soon as practical to get this equipment back in service. And whereas the fire department received a quote from New England Fire Equipment and Apparatus Corporation to make the necessary repairs utilizing all new parts and a quote rebuilding and reusing many of the parts currently requiring repair. And whereas city staff reviewed the quotes with the Public Safety Committee and they support repairing the apparatus using all new parts. And whereas city staff reviewed the quotes with the Finance Committee and they support repairing the apparatus using all new parts for an amount not to exceed $85,000. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Somersworth that the city manager is authorized to enter into a contract with New England Fire Equipment and Apparatus Corporation of North Haven, Connecticut, to make emergency repairs to Fire Truck 1 for an amount not to exceed $85,000 and take any and all other such actions relative to these repairs determined to be in the best interest of the city. Sponsored by Councilors David A. Witham, Martin Pepin, Kenneth S. Vincent, Laura Berry, Crystal Parity Catanzaro, approved city attorney.
A question for the city manager. Could we suspend rules to act on this tonight just to get this moving, or does it have to wait for the ordinance on the supplemental appropriation?
It's entirely at the call of the council. You have done this in the past a couple of times. It was just.
I would just argue that it's been through two committees. It seems to be the will of the council through those two committees. Is that a motion to suspend rules for a second
I'd
reading?
like to second it too.
A motion by Councilor Pepin to suspend rules for a second reading on Resolution 5625 this evening, seconded by Councilor Vincent. Discussion. Seeing none, if you're in favor of suspension of rules, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll go to a second reading of Resolution 5625 by title only. City Clerk.
Resolution number 5625, to authorize the city manager to contract with New England Fire Equipment and Apparatus Corporation of North Haven, Connecticut, to make emergency repairs to Fire Department Truck 1.
Resolution 5625, having been read first and second time, is available for any amendment. No amendment being offered, the chair will entertain a motion on the resolution. Councilor Pepin.
Make a motion to accept 5625.
I'll second it.
Councilor Pepin moves the adoption of Resolution 5625, seconded by Councilor Vincent. Discussion. Councilor Vincent.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, we only have one ladder truck. Second of all, it's in dire need of repair, so let's fix it. And keep in mind that if there is a confirmed structure fire, I'm sure that the chief has mutual aid all set up, so they're coming right away, but there could be a delay. So let's move on this and get this fixed and taken care of. Thank you.
You know, the other thing I would add that maybe I should have reported out during my committee report is the nexus between the new parts and the refurbished parts was like around $20,000. It was like $60,000 versus the $85,000. So that was also factored into supporting going with the new parts because it wasn't a tremendous difference between the pricing. Councilor Pepin.
If I could just comment on that. I took a lot of certification course years ago, and they showed ladders collapsing and stuff like that. That was part of the class. They're mechanical. They take impact loads and stuff like that, so they have to be at top things. We can't talk about putting secondhand parts back into a facility like that. Rochester had a ladder collapse in their facility. Our ladder ended up making a rescue call from them. They had two guys hanging off the edge of the ladders dangling when our crew went up and helped them. So they do fail. So I don't think we want to shortchange anything as far as having it repaired and repaired right. So thank you.
Further discussion. Seeing none, City Clerk, if you'd please call the roll.
Councilor Witham.
Yes.
Councilor Witham.
Still yes.
Cameron. Yes. Barry.
Yes.
Pepin.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Gibson.
Yes.
Parity Catanzaro.
Yes.
Michaud.
Yes.
Resolution 5625 is adopted. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to move that Resolution 5725 be read by title only, suspension of council rules. Seconded by Councilor Vincent. The vote before us is suspension of council rules to read Resolution 5725 by title only. Discussion. Seeing none, if you're in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. City Clerk, could you please read Resolution 5725 by title only?
Resolution number 5725, City Council vote to rescind the amendment to the Grenice contract for the Constitutional Way project authorized in Resolution 5124 and to authorize the city manager to contract with SUR Construction of Rochester, New Hampshire to construct a crosswalk on the northerly side of the intersections of Constitutional Way and High Street.
Resolution 5725 has been read a first time, and I'd like to move that council rules be suspended to act on it this evening. Is there a second on that?
Yes.
Seconded by Councilor Cameron. The vote is to suspend council rules for a second reading on Resolution 5725 for action this evening. If you're in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Recognize the city clerk for a second reading on Resolution 5725.
Resolution number 5725, City Council vote to rescind the amendment to the Grenice contract for the Constitutional Way project authorized in Resolution 5124 and to authorize the city manager to contract with SUR Construction of Rochester, New Hampshire to construct a crosswalk on the northerly side of the intersection of Constitutional Way and High Street.
Resolution 5725 have been read a first and second time is before you for further amendment. No amendment being offered, the chair will entertain a motion on Resolution 5725. Councilor Vincent moves the adoption of Resolution 5725, seconded by Councilor Cameron. Discussion. Councilor Parity Catanzaro.
I saw the quote from SUR Construction and just wanted to confirm that the design and everything is as we originally intended. This is just a quote on what we previously wanted the original firm to do.
Yes, they met with staff, and they also met with the Wright Pierce engineers who designed how drainage might occur or be affected with this new implementation. So, yes, the short answer is yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Further discussion. Seeing none, City Clerk, if you'd please call the roll.
Councilor Witham.
Yes.
Cameron. Yes. Barry.
Yes.
Pepin.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Gibson.
Yes.
Parity Catanzaro.
Yes.
Michaud.
Yes.
Resolution 5725 is adopted. Brings us to new business other. In the first and only item there is a vote to ratify the tentative agreement between the Somersworth School Board and the Somersworth Educational Support Personnel Association Union, SESPA. What is the wish of the council? Councilor Parity Catanzaro.
I would like to make a motion to ratify this tentative agreement between the school board and CESPA.
Councilor Parity Catanzaro moves for the ratification of the contract. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Pepin for the purpose of discussion. And that enters us into discussion. Discussion. Councilors up for discussion. I will note that I will not be voting in favor of this tonight, only by virtue of the fact that the tentative agreement calls for a multi-year contract. I think our current time is tenuous at best with regard to funding from state government and funding from the federal government, and I am uneasy about trying to fulfill contract obligations in outer years that I have no appreciation for the budget during these uncertain times. So that would be my no vote on this evening. It's not because they're not deserving, it's just because of that uncertainty. Councilor Vincent. Thank you. Please.
Thank you. Yeah, I have to agree 100%. It has nothing to do with how they do their job. They're very good. Most of them have been there for several years, just going into the dark, so to speak, not knowing what's going to happen in the next couple of years. Yeah, that's why I'm not going to be in favor. Thank you.
Further discussion. Councilor Gibson.
I'll make it short. I have to agree with the comments by the councilors previously made. You can renegotiate this contract basically, trying to think of the right way to say it. If you approve it as a one-year contract going forward for now, you can just basically vote to approve in the following years based on the contract, once we're more certain of the funding sources. And based on what the state's done and what the federal government is talking about, nobody has any idea what's coming down the pike, or I should say, what isn't coming down the pike to us.
Further discussion. Councilor Cameron?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with everything that was said before us. It's too uncertain right now with the future, and I will not be voting for it right now. Thank you.
Councilor Parity Catanzaro.
Yes, thank you. One comment and then a question. My comment is my support of this is for the same reason. I think that some are not supporting it, which is just that uncertainty. I think it really helps our staff, especially really critical staff like this, to have some stability and knowing what's coming in the future, and the agreement looked reasonable to me. And my question is, are we able to hear what the ramifications are of not ratifying this evening?
I'll take a stab at it. I think it would just force the school department to go back to the bargaining table with the labor group. But if there's further without it, I'm seeing some nods of heads. I think that's kind of the bait. If we don't vote to ratify this, that would be the next step.
Is there a concern about the timing, just because we're coming up at the end of the school year and fiscal year?
Without objection, I'd invite the superintendent of schools to the podium. Mr. Shea, thank you.
I misspoke earlier in non-public. I mean, the reality is we would, they'd be in continuing the contracts they're under now, and effective June 1st until we get this agreed upon. So we'd work as quickly as possible. Yeah, we'll make do.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion. Councilor Barry.
I definitely can understand where the uncertainty kind of falls on both ends of the spectrum, where, you know, sometimes certainty can help on some sides, but also locking in can create some instability on the other side. I have a hard time with this on both cases because I definitely understand. I think is to not vote for something I'm not quite certain of either way at the moment. So that's kind of where I'm falling at the moment. Although I can appreciate that even maybe a 2-year might be a little bit more long-term, but I think 3 might be a little far out for me at the moment.
Further discussion. With that, the chair will institute a roll call vote. If you're in favor of ratification of the tentative agreement, you'll state by saying aye. If you are not, you will state by saying no. City Clerk.
Councilor Parity Catanzaro.
Aye.
Michaud.
Yes.
Witham.
No.
Cameron.
No.
Barry.
No.
Pepin.
No.
Vincent.
No.
Gibson.
No.
The agreement is not ratified. That brings us to closing comments by visitors. Are there any closing comments by visitors here this evening? Seeing none, brings us to closing comments by council members. I'll start with Ward 1, Councilor Pepin.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I listened at the beginning of this meeting talking about trash being picked up and the code enforcement officer and everything else. And I read the city manager's report, and he gets a report from the code enforcement officer, and you look at the list, and sometimes it's 2 pages long, and most of it's about trash. And sitting up here for several years, you get to see a lot of things that go on and how our code enforcement has tried to take things to court and whatever. And lots of times our lawyers don't want to, our judges don't want to look at this type of stuff because it's kind of minuscule to them compared to all the other stuff that they have to deal with. I look at the reports and I look at the things that our code enforcement has taken people to court for, and I see how many times they've gone back, time after time after time. They get a slight little fine here and there and whatever, and it doesn't seem to amount to too much. In fact, some people get taken to court for property violations or whatever that are very, very serious, and they still do what they barely need to do, and they're still buying properties in our city, apartment buildings, and we're still allowing them to own these properties. And I'm sure down the line we'll be in court for those buildings too. I don't know what the answer is with this. I don't know if it's the judges that we should probably have. I know it was discussed years ago that maybe we ought to have the judges that just basically deal with property maintenance and whatever to get some legal bite to it. But I sometimes I'm at the feeling that whatever we come up with a violation law or whatever, code enforcement is only good as what he does and writes and brings it up to wherever. But if it goes nowhere, when it goes into the justice system, it isn't worth the time of effort in it. I hate to say that, but that's the bottom line is. I don't know if there's another alternative or another way that cities get together in towns to try to find a way that we can approach the state to get some teeth into property maintenance and laws that are written from code compliance that cities and pass ordinances on. But I think it needs to be taken a look at just saying, well, we'll just make up our laws or whatever, because you can make them up, but actually getting action onto it is very, very difficult on the other end. And I think if you look at a code enforcement officer and the act like you, Councilman Minshew basically said it. I mean, they keep going back to the same place over and over again. They clean it up, and then, 2 months later, they're back to the same place again. And there isn't really much. It's got to be tiresome on the code enforcement officer because he has no teeth as far as that's concerned, as far as I'm looking at. So I don't know if there's a way that we can look somewhere else, some other way of maybe the city and towns putting enough pressure on the state to say, hey, there's got to be some way we address that these things can be addressed. But I think that's either some type of committee or somebody else to look into it, but I think that's the way to go to help give some teeth to it.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Vincent.
Thank you, Your Honor. And, let's face it, some people are on fixed incomes, They had it all going when they were working full-time, and then they retire, and then on a fixed income. And sometimes people don't have the money to take care of their property sometimes. So that's a tough situation, too. My thoughts are throw the book at the absentee landlords. I was a landlord. I had 7 buildings in this town. They were all up to par. That's my thoughts. So just, you can throw the book at the people, but these are our customers. These are the people who live here. You know what I mean? And that's how I feel. Thank you.
Councilor Gibson. Councilor Parity Catanzaro.
Yeah, I wanted to plus one Laura's comment, Councilor Berry's comment about Bonfire Coffee. It was very exciting to visit a new cafe in town this weekend, and it was super busy. There were people walking up and down the sidewalks as if there's bustling stuff to do. It was really cool, whether they were going to Folded, going to Bonfire, and that cafe has not only food and beverages, but they've got cute little goods and arts and crafts and various things from other local businesses and artisans that they're selling. And one of our food establishments right down the street here, they're selling some things from there as well. And I just checked to see they are open until 7 p.m. on our meeting night, so I'll definitely be stopping by there on my way in here. Another great development in our city is the school board, I believe it was last week in their last committee meeting, approved for some food bank connections with our middle school and high school, which is just really, really cool. I know that Somersworth was the first in the state to have a connected health clinic connected to the school. I don't know if we're still the only one, but it really feels like we're on the edge of doing really good things in the community. And finally, we had 2 people up here earlier who commented both on our, used the phrase, one of the best about Somersworth in comparison to hundreds of other communities, about our police, our fire, and our finance director of our city and our schools. So just really proud to hear that our staff is so awesome. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Councilor Michoud.
Thank you, Anna. I think tonight I'm just going to do like a little public service announcement. We all use electrical cords, extension cords, and all that. If you use them, please check them out. If there's any shows of wear and tear, cracking, bare wires, please throw them out. And the reason I'm saying this, I just got home recently from Washington State. My best friend lives in the suburb of Seattle. Him and his roommates just about lost everything in their house because of an extension cord that started the dining room on fire. And when I was out there, I actually took a tour through the house itself. I never been inside of a house that was been burnt out, and I pray to God that I never will again, because it's just, I can't even fathom. Unfortunately, nobody was home at the time. They got a call from the neighbor, your house is on fire, please come home. They went home right away. But I can't even imagine once going, say, to my house and looking at it completely on fire and knowing that I'm homeless now. I have nothing to go to now. Only thing I gotta live in my truck. So please, check your extension cords, because what I saw is very bad. So I don't really want to see anybody go through that. And comments to our fire department, past fire department members, thank you for everything you've been doing. Please keep it up, and please stay safe. And also, I want to make a comment on these absentee landlords. We have a government ops meeting again this coming Wednesday at 5 o'clock here at City Hall. It's not on our agenda, but I'm planning on bringing that up under other. Yes, we definitely need more teeth. And one of the things I've been thinking about, it seems like when a property slumlord, I like to call them, has multiple properties in this community, when they get a violation, it just goes to that one particular house. I want to see if there's a way, instead of going to that one particular house, just go to the landlord that owns all these properties. Instead of, okay, the house you own on Main Street, you got one strike, but the house you own on High Street isn't. Well, okay, well, you own all these properties? Well, guess what? You're the landlord of all these properties, that's strike one for that, all your properties. So that's one thing I'm thinking about bringing up. Thank you.
Is that it?
I know it's the longest I ever talked, but I'm making up for lost time.
It's all good. Councilor Cameron.
Thank you, Your Honor. I guess I will thank Jason Berry for bringing up some interesting facts about my Don't Trash Somersworth. Yes, I am the trashy lady, and I do go around town picking up trash. And if anybody wants to join us, stop by Bonfire first, get your coffee, come join my group, but make sure you throw it away after. And we had stumbled across a quite interesting space this past Saturday where we collected 17 bags. I found the mother load of needles, and it was very disturbing, which kind of set Jason off Saturday. And then he got me going. So I was like, okay, I welcome anybody to join our group. We are doing good work out there, but we are a small group. I only had 5 people this past Saturday with all that we collected in that 1 hour. If I had double that, we probably could have done a lot more. And I just, hope some other people will come out and join us, because we do have fun while we're doing it, and we are doing good work in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor, and thank you to the team for all they do. Councilor Berry.
So I have a couple of small, quick things. I will mimic Mrs. Councilor Patton Catanzaro. I can't talk apparently anymore. I need to go home. That yes, I have to say I'm in love with how much bustle has been around our downtown. I love seeing people actually going to our local businesses, doing classes, getting coffee, getting tea, going to breakfast. I want to see more of it, which is, I think, a lot of what we're doing as council, trying to move forward with what else can we put in this community, get people out walking. That's a big thing, so we're not always driving around and worried about it. So the more you can be down there, I encourage it. Come see some of these support the local businesses as much as you can. One thing, I don't just say it here, I also say it at home. If you're gonna bring a problem, bring a solution. I understand that we didn't have a solution tonight necessarily, but it does sound like we have some good ideas. One thing, and he'll probably kill me because I didn't come up with this until like 2 seconds ago, going, what about community service instead of fines? I know that used to be a thing a couple years ago or however long when I was growing up. I don't know that we do it anymore, but that would also be an option that, hey, you throw something on the ground and we catch you. Maybe you have to go pick up 2 bags worth of whatever, right? I think it would stop me from throwing something on the ground. Just a thought around that as well. Like maybe if a fine's not doing it, maybe we make you go do community service. Just a thought there. And that's all I got tonight.
So, to close out comments by councilors, I think it was at a planning board meeting, maybe it was at a council meeting some time ago, I spoke about the sale of the National Guard Armory and the proposed lot line adjustment and the concern that, at least on the map, it looked like some elements of the Little League field, scoreboard and flagpoles would not be on the Little League property, but would be on the National Guard property, now owned by somebody else. There are lots of survey markers out there now, and I can affirm that the scoreboard and the flagpoles are on the wrong piece of property. So either we need to have some sort of lot line adjustment after the fact, or we need to have some sort of easement, but it's complicated. Or the developer of the National Guard property can move said elements. Not so easy. So just flag that again for city staff follow-up. Regarding property maintenance, I call it the property maintenance piñata. Every now and again, we pull it out of the closet and we whack at it, but never once has candy come out of it from this council. It goes back in the closet to get whacked at again. So thank you, Councilor Michoud, for pulling it out of the closet yet again. We'll probably whack at it, and my hope is that at least a little bit of candy falls out this time. And on the side of the road. I won't hold my breath. And I'm excited to try the new coffee place Bonfire, where they do stay open to 7. Maybe they could start stocking honey, Robitussin, and a bunch of other elements for this whole council that seems to have, it's like a TB ward in here. So anyways, any future agenda items can be brought forward to the city clerk. There is no non-public session. The chair will entertain a motion on adjournment made by Councilor Michoud, seconded by Councilor Gibson. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned.